What happens when one of Hollywood's most beloved actresses, known for her grace, warmth, and calm, suddenly loses her composure on live television? When Jennifer Aniston, America's sweetheart, faces off with Joy Behar on The View, the tension doesn't just hum beneath the surface, it explodes before millions of viewers. But before we dive into the moment that silenced the studio and set the internet ablaze, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. Like, comment, and stay tuned till the end because what you're about to hear isn't just gossip. It's the unraveling of a moment Hollywood wishes it could erase. The morning began like any other live taping of The View. The stage lights burned gold across the panel's familiar faces. Joy Behar, poised with her usual blend of wit and mischief, leaned back in her chair. Cue cards fanned out like weapons of charm. Whoopi, seated beside her, smirked knowingly while sunny host glanced at the teleprompter with quiet focus. The applause faded as Jennifer Aniston stepped onto the set. The crowd roared, an eruption of nostalgia and love. She was radiant, dressed in muted cream, the way only she could wear simplicity like a crown. Her smile seemed unbreakable. But if you looked closely, there was something faint but real in her eyes. A flicker, a hint of tension. "Ladies and gentlemen," Joy announced with that unmistakable rasp, "please welcome the one and only Jennifer Aniston." The camera panned. Jennifer waved, sat, crossed her legs, and adjusted her microphone. The energy was polite, controlled for now. So Joy began leaning forward. "Jen, you've been in this business, what, 30 years? You've seen Hollywood change, crumble, rebuild, and pretend it's fine again. How does it feel watching it all from the inside?" Jennifer gave a soft laugh. "I think we're all just trying to evolve," she said. "It's not perfect, but it's progress." The audience clapped lightly, but Joy's tone shifted ever so slightly, sharp, probing. "Progress, huh? You mean in the way you've distanced yourself from your old co-stars? I mean, people notice, Jen, fancy when friendships fade." A murmur spread through the audience. Jennifer blinked. For a fraction of a second, her jaw tightened. "I think people read into things that aren't really there," she replied. "Life changes. People grow apart sometimes. It doesn't mean there's bad blood." Joy's smile didn't falter. Sure, she said that, teasing Lil rising. "But it's interesting, isn't it? Some people say Hollywood friends only stay friends when the cameras are rolling." The crowd tensed. Whoopi looked sideways at Joy as if to silently ask, "Are we really doing this?" Jennifer gave another practice smile, but it wavered this time. "That's not true," she said, her tone soft but firm. "Some of my friendships are real. Genuine." Joy chuckled. "Even with those you've had differences with? I mean, there was that story." "Well, you know the one." Jennifer's gaze sharpened. "I know what story you mean," she said, the warmth in her voice cooling fast. "And it's false." The studio went quiet. The kind of silence that hums with electricity. Joy tried to play it off. "Oh, come on, Jen. Don't kill the messenger. It's what everyone's been talking about. That supposed argument you had on set last year. People just want to know the truth." Jennifer's hand gripped the armrest of her chair. "The truth," she said slowly, "is that I'm tired of people twisting things just to make headlines. You want to talk about a movie, a project, a cause? Fine. But don't bring that tabloid garbage into this." Her voice trembled, not with weakness, but anger barely restrained. Whoopi raised her brows, almost amused. "Well," she said under her breath, "we're live," so Joy laughed awkwardly. "Relax, Jen. It's just conversation. You're an icon. People are curious." Jennifer leaned forward, her tone low but cutting. "Curious is one thing, Joy. Disrespect is another." Gasps echoed from the audience. A few claps, hesitant, uncertain, followed. Joy tried to recover, flashing that trademark smirk. Whoa, I didn't mean to offend. You Hollywood folks are sensitive today." Jennifer blinked slowly, exhaled, then spoke with sudden calm. "It's not about being sensitive. It's about knowing when to stop. You know, Joy, sometimes you push people too far. You call it humor, but it's something else." A single second stretched into 10. Joy's smirk faltered. "Something else?" she repeated, incredulous. Jennifer didn't look away. Yeah, mean-spirited. The audience reacted in waves, some gasping, others clapping in surprise. Sunny looked frozen, caught between shock and intrigue. Joy sat back, her expression turning stony. "That's rich," she said dryly. "Coming from someone who's made a career on charm and PR smiles." The insult hung in the air. Jennifer Unk's lips parted, then closed again. She inhaled through her nose, visibly restraining herself. The host cards and Joy's hand trembled slightly. Even Whoopi, usually the comic relief, looked uncertain whether to intervene. Then Jennifer spoke quietly, every word sharp as glass. "You know what's funny? People like you love to break others down because it keeps the spotlight off your own bitterness. You hide it behind jokes, but it shows." A stunned hush filled the studio. Joy blinked, taken aback for once. The audience murmured louder, and cameras zoomed in instinctively, sensing gold. "Jennifer," Whoopi interjected, raising a hand. "Let's take a breath, ladies. This is live television, not a cage match." But Jennifer didn't break eye contact. Her voice steadied again, the raw emotion fading into icy composure. "You wanted authenticity, Joy. There it is." The producer's voice crackled faintly through the studio speakers. "Wrap this segment. Wrap now." But it was too late. The tension had already spilled out. Unstoppable. Jennifer sat back, the faintest tremor in her hand betraying the calm mask. Joy forced a laugh, one that didn't reach her eyes. "Well," Joy said into the microphone, "that's one way to wake up daytime TV." The audience laughed uncertainly, clapping, not sure who to side with. Jennifer's expression didn't change. She only offered a brief, brittle smile. Whoopi cleared her throat, ready to move to commercial. But the energy on set was fractured, alive with something real, something no producer could script. And as the camera light blinked red, Jennifer whispered, barely audible, but caught on the mic. "You crossed a line today." Joy froze and cut to commercial. The studio erupted in noise. Producers rushing in, audience murmuring, hosts whispering off mic. But one thing was certain. Something inside that sunny, smiling room had cracked wide open, and the world had just seen the first flash of it. When the view returned from commercial break, the air in the studio was different. It wasn't just tense, it was electric. The crowd's applause, usually effortless and warm, felt forced this time, like everyone was clapping because they were supposed to, not because they wanted to. Jennifer Aniston sat poised, shoulders back, eyes fixed ahead. Her expression was unreadable. No trace of the smile that had charmed America for decades. Beside her, Joy Behar adjusted her notes, pretending to read something, though her hands betrayed her. Stiff, uneasy, defensive. Whoopi Goldberg looked straight into the camera, her tone brisk, almost forced. "We're back with Jennifer Aniston," she said, the words cutting through the silence like a blade. "Jennifer, you were telling us about your upcoming project. Let's get back into that." "Yeah." Jennifer exhaled slowly. Her voice softened, but it carried weight. "Sure," she said. "It's a story about boundaries, about what happens when people mistake kindness for weakness." The studio audience reacted with a low murmur, half chuckle, half gasp. Everyone could feel the double meaning. Even the cameraman hesitated before zooming in. Joy forced a smile. "That sounds interesting," she said carefully. "And I'm sure you of all people know something about boundaries." The words landed heavy. Jennifer turned her head slightly, locking eyes with her. There was a flicker of something dangerous there, controlled fury buried deep beneath composure. "I do," Jennifer replied. "And I've learned the hard way that not everyone respects them." Whoopi coughed loudly. "Ladies, let's not scare the viewers at home," she joked, but her laugh didn't quite reach her eyes. The tension was alive now, crawling through every second. Sunny host, quiet until now, tried to lighten the air. "Jennifer, I think what you're saying is something a lot of people can relate to, especially women in this industry. Setting boundaries, being taken seriously, those are tough things to navigate." Jennifer nodded appreciatively. "Exactly. It's not about being harsh, it's about protecting yourself. And sometimes when you speak up for yourself, people label you as difficult." Joy's lips curved upward faintly. Well, some people are difficult, she said almost offhand, her tone playful, but the words had teeth. Jennifer laughed once softly without humor. And some people mistake cruelty for comedy, she countered. The audience gasped again. This wasn't an interview anymore. It was a duel. Whoopi leaned back, muttering, "Oh Lord, here we go." Under her breath, Joy blinked, clearly stunned that Jennifer wasn't backing down. "Are you implying something, Jen?" Jennifer tilted her head, eyes steady. "No, I'm saying it outright." The audience roared, half with shock, half with applause. The camera operators didn't know where to point. Producers were gesturing wildly off-stage. Joy's jaw tightened. She tried to laugh it off, but the sound came out strained. Jennifer, not everyone who asks tough questions is cruel. It's called journalism. Jennifer leaned forward. And not everyone who calls out manipulation is too sensitive. It's called self-respect. Whoopi clapped her hands once, breaking the silence. Okay, everybody breathe. I feel like I'm sitting in the middle of a therapy session that nobody paid for. Laughter rippled nervously through the audience. Jennifer smiled faintly, but the storm in her eyes didn't fade. Joy finally set her cue cards down. "Look, Jen, if I offended you earlier, that wasn't my intention. We joke around here. We keep it real. You know that." Jennifer's response came measured, deliberate. "Keeping it real is fine. And Joy. But there's a difference between honesty and humiliation. You don't have to tear people down to make good television." The words hung heavy. For the first time, Joy looked genuinely shaken. "Tear people down," she repeated, defensive. "That's not what I do." Jennifer's voice softened again, almost sympathetic, but her eyes stayed sharp. "Maybe not intentionally, but you've been in this business long enough to know words have power. And when you aim them at someone who's already lived under a microscope for half her life, it doesn't feel like a joke anymore." A long pause. The audience was dead silent. Even the stage crew stopped moving. Joy sat back, lips pursed, her confidence slipping just slightly. "You really think that's what I was doing?" she asked, quieter now. Jennifer looked down for a moment, then met her eyes again. "I think sometimes you forget that people on the other side of your punchlines are human." Whoopi sighed, a faint smirk on her face as if she were both entertained and exhausted. "You two need to hug it out during the next break," she said. Jennifer smiled faintly, but didn't look away from Joy. "No hugs necessary," she said. "Just understanding." The live audience clapped, genuine this time. Some even stood. Joy looked around, sensing the shift. She straightened in her chair, regaining composure. "Well," she said with forced brightness, "that's one way to make the internet explode. Congratulations, Jen. You've officially broken the view." Jennifer chuckled. "Not my goal," she said softly. "But maybe it's time we start breaking the pattern instead." The moment was raw, honest, and unpredictable. The next segment was supposed to be a light one, a charity spotlight, but the energy in the studio refused to return to normal. Joy read her lines mechanically, her humor gone, while Jennifer sat silently, her presence commanding even in stillness. During a brief off-air moment, a studio mic still caught sound. Joy's voice low but tight. You made me look like a villain just now." Jennifer didn't turn her head. "I didn't make you look like anything. You did that yourself." Joy exhaled sharply, then looked down, muttering something that didn't reach the mic. When the show came back on, Whoopi tried to steer things toward levity. "All right, before we all get canceled together, let's talk about Jennifer's new film." Laughter rippled through the room, but it was nervous, uncertain. Jennifer smiled politely, answering questions, but the spark in her tone was gone. You could feel the shift. A woman who'd reached her limit and refused to be small again. As the show neared its close, Joy finally turned to her again, voice quieter, almost remorseful. "Jennifer, I just want to say if I came across wrong earlier, I'm sorry. Sometimes I forget there's a line until someone points it out." Jennifer looked at her for a long moment, then nodded once. "Thank you," she said simply. The camera caught it. The faintest genuine smile from Jennifer. Not a performance, not PR, just a flicker of truth between two women who'd collided live on air. The credits rolled, the theme music played, and the audience clapped as if nothing had happened. But everyone knew they'd just witnessed something real. When the lights dimmed and the cameras cut, the silence that followed was deafening. Whoopi turned to Joy, half joking, half serious. "Well, that's going to trend for a week." Joy sighed. "Try a month." Jennifer stood, microphone still clipped, and quietly said to no one in particular, "Some things just need to be said." And she walked off the stage, calm, steady, and utterly unshaken. The audience rose instinctively, some cheering, others whispering in disbelief because Jennifer Aniston hadn't just snapped. She'd drawn a line in permanent ink on live television. Outside the ABC studios that evening, the city of New York pulsed under a gray-orange sky. The taping of The View had ended hours ago, but the echo of that moment, Jennifer Aniston's unfiltered confrontation, was still alive, buzzing through the streets like static. Inside black SUVs parked discreetly along the curb, publicists and producers were on their phones, their voices sharp and hurried. Something unpredictable had happened. Something real. And in the world of polished celebrity appearances, real was both gold and danger. In one of those SUVs sat Jennifer Aniston. Her assistant beside her scrolled frantically through Twitter, the screen glowing blue with chaos. Hashtags were already trending. Hashtag Jennifer Joy, hashtag The Meltdown, hashtag Aniston. Unfiltered clips from the episode had hit social media minutes after it aired. Millions of views. Thousands of comments. Jennifer sat quietly looking out the window as Manhattan's lights flickered by. Her reflection stared back at her, composed but weary. "Jen," her assistant said softly. "Your name's everywhere. CNN, TMZ, BuzzFeed, the works. Half of them are calling it the moment of the year." Jennifer didn't react right away. She just murmured, "And the other half?" Her assistant hesitated. "They're calling you out of control." Jennifer sighed. "Of course they are." She leaned back, her mind drifting to the moment that started it all. Joy's smirk, the question, the subtle digs wrapped in humor. It wasn't the first time she'd faced it, but it was the first time she decided to stop smiling through it. Meanwhile, back inside the View's production office, the mood was anything but calm. Joy Behar stood with her arms crossed, surrounded by producers who were trying and failing to keep their voices low. "I didn't say anything that bad," Joy snapped. She overreacted. "You know her Hollywood types, they think they can't be touched." One of the producers, a young woman barely in her 30s, said carefully, "Joy, with respect, the clip looks bad. The internet thinks you went too far." Joy's eyes narrowed. "Oh, please. I've been doing this show longer than some of you have been alive. I asked questions. That's my job." Whoopi walked in mid-aroo, holding a coffee she clearly didn't want. "Joy," she said flatly. "You poked the bear and she bit back. Let's just call it what it is." Joy turned incredulous. "Oh, don't you start." "I'm not starting anything," Whoopi said, sitting down. "But you pushed her and she wasn't having it." "Can't say I blame her." Joy scoffed. "You're really taking her side?" Whoopi looked her dead in the eye. "I'm taking reality's side." There was a silence, a long, uncomfortable one. From the hallway came the muffled sound of producers fielding calls from ABC's higher-ups. The clip was viral now. The ratings, ironically, were through the roof. But the network didn't like uncontrolled moments. Sponsors even less. Joy rubbed her temples, muttering under her breath. "Great. I'll be the villain of the week again." Whoopi gave a slow shrug. "Maybe take a week off Twitter. Let people cool down." Joy sighed, sinking into her chair. "She's going to milk this. You know, the media is already painting her like some feminist hero." Whoopi smirked faintly. Maybe because she just said what a lot of people have been thinking for a while. Joy didn't respond. She just stared at the floor, lost in thought. Across town, Jennifer's phone buzzed again. It was her publicist Karen calling from Los Angeles. "Jennifer, honey, we need to talk about tomorrow. Every outlet wants a statement. The View issued theirs very generic, very we value our guests kind of thing. But people want to hear from you." Jennifer rubbed her temple. "What do they want me to say?" "That I regret it." Karen's voice softened. "I think they want to know if you meant it." Jennifer laughed lightly. "Of course I meant it. Karen hesitated. Then you need to be careful how you say that. You know how this works. If you double down, Joy's fans will come for you. If you apologize, your fans will say you sold out. Jennifer's silence stretched. Then quietly, I'm not apologizing for being honest. Karen sighed. I figured you'd say that. Jennifer looked out at the skyline again, her voice distant. I spent half my career being polite, Karen. I smiled through things that would have made most people scream. Maybe today wasn't perfect, but it was real. I can live with that. Karen didn't argue. She just said softly, then let's prepare for the storm. By the time night fell, the clip had become more than just a viral moment. It was a conversation. On social media, fans dissected every glance, every pause, every word. On TikTok, users replayed Jennifer's line, "Curious is one thing, Joy. Disrespect is another," turning it into a soundbite for empowerment videos. On Reddit, threads debated who was right. And on YouTube, the full segment racked up over 12 million views in less than 24 hours. Meanwhile, Joy Behar's name trended alongside words like arrogant, outdated, and bully. The next morning, Joy showed up at the studio before dawn. The air was cold, her coffee hotter than she wanted. She walked down the empty hallway, pastors of smiling guests from seasons past. For the first time in years, she felt the weight of what the audience thought of her. In the dressing room, Whoopi sat half-dressed, scrolling through her phone. "You see this mess?" she asked without looking up. Joy groaned. "Don't remind me." Whoopi chuckled. "You're trending next to Kanye. That's impressive." Joy rolled her eyes. "Yeah, great. I'm the new villain of daytime TV. Exactly what I needed." Whoopi looked at her. "Maybe this is the universe telling you to listen more." Joy frowned. "I was doing my job." Whoopi raised an eyebrow. "Your job's to ask. But sometimes you don't wait for the answer before you cut someone down." Joy opened her mouth to respond, but stopped. For once, she didn't have a comeback. Across the country, Jennifer's phone buzzed again. This time, a text from an old friend. "You handled that perfectly. Don't back down." Another message came seconds later. Finally, someone told Joy what we've all wanted to. She smiled just slightly, but not out of pride, out of release. Still, the calls kept coming. Morning shows wanted her side. Podcasts invited her to reclaim the narrative. Even Good Morning America wanted an exclusive, but Jennifer refused them all. Instead, she issued a single statement through her publicist. "I've spent my life being patient and polite, but there comes a time when silence feels dishonest. I meant every word." The message broke the internet all over again. By midday, celebrities began weighing in. Some siding with Jennifer, others defending Joy. Reese Witherspoon posted a subtle story with a heart emoji and the words "boundaries are strength." Chelsea Handler tweeted, "This is why I don't do talk shows anymore." By the evening, The View itself had become a battlefield. Producers debated whether to invite Jennifer back for closure. Whoopi rolled her eyes at the idea. "You think she's coming back after that? She said she's done with this circus." But Joy surprisingly didn't fight it. She sat at the round table that afternoon, eyes tired, voice subdued. "Maybe she's right," she said quietly. "Maybe I do cross the line sometimes." Sunny blinked surprised. "That's very self-aware of you." Joy smirked faintly. "Don't get used to it." The studio audience that day was smaller, quieter. The laughter didn't land the same. The energy was off. And in living rooms around the world, people were still replaying the clip frame by frame, word by word. Some called it the most powerful live TV moment of the year. Others called it uncomfortable. But no one called it forgettable because somewhere between the flashing lights and the nervous laughter, Jennifer Aniston had reminded the world that even Hollywood's calmest hearts can have their breaking point. And this time, the camera didn't blink first. Morning light spilled across Los Angeles like a secret trying to hide. The sun was up, but the world was already awake, feeding on the fire that The View had started. News headlines screamed across every feed. Jennifer Aniston breaks silence on The View clash. Joy Behar faces backlash after heated exchange. When America's Sweetheart finally snapped, clips flooded TikTok, YouTube, and Twitter, cut and remixed with dramatic captions and slow-motion close-ups. Millions of people had watched Jennifer Aniston, poised, graceful, and untouchable. Look Joy Behar dead in the eye and tell her to stop hiding cruelty behind humor. And it hit something deeper than celebrity gossip. It became a moment, a mirror for every person who had smiled through disrespect, who had bitten their tongue for the sake of keeping peace. But inside the walls of ABC, there was no peace. Producers huddled in glass offices talking about damage control and narrative management. Emails buzzed with phrases like brand impact, sponsor comfort, and reputation risk. Still, even in all that chaos, one thing was clear. The ratings were through the roof. The episode had become the most watched daytime segment in 5 years. Whoopi Goldberg leaned back in her chair that morning, sipping coffee with a half smile. "Guess controversy still sells," she muttered. Across from her, Joy Behar scrolled through her phone, her expression tight. The memes, the think pieces, the endless commentary. It was all there, painted in unforgiving pixels. One clip showed Jennifer Aniston's face frozen mid-sentence, captioned, "The moment she'd had enough." Another one mocked Joy's nervous laughter, replaying it on a loop. "God," Joy whispered. "They make it look like I attacked her." Sunny host looked over gently. "You kind of did." Joy shot her a glare, but her shoulders slumped a little. "I didn't mean to. It's what I do. I push. I tease. That's the show." "Maybe," Sunny said softly. "But maybe the show needs to evolve." The words hung in the air. Joy stared at her reflection in the monitor, makeup lights gleaming off tired eyes. "Do you think she'll ever talk to me again?" Whoopi snorted. "If I were her, probably not. But who knows? Jennifer's got class. She might surprise you." Back in Los Angeles, Jennifer Aniston sat in her quiet home office, the morning sun streaming across her desk. Her phone buzzed non-stop, but she ignored it, staring at her reflection in the black glass of her laptop screen. She'd spent her life being polished, measured, controlled. But that live moment on The View, that raw, unfiltered burst, had cracked the surface, and somehow it felt freeing. Her publicist called again. "Jen, everyone wants a follow-up." GMA Ellen's team reached out. "Well, her YouTube team and Variety wants an exclusive op-ed." Jennifer shook her head. "No interviews, no press tours. I said what I needed to say." Karen sighed. "They're saying you ended Joy Behar's career." Jennifer's lips curved faintly. "I didn't end anything. I just stopped playing along." Karen hesitated. "You know what's wild? You're trending for being honest. That used to be dangerous for women in Hollywood. Now it's the headline." Jennifer smiled, almost wistful. Maybe it's about time honesty stopped being treated like rebellion. She closed her laptop, stood, and walked to the window. Outside, paparazzi cameras waited beyond the gates, shadows in broad daylight. But this time, she didn't hide. She didn't duck. She let them see her because for the first time in years, she didn't feel like she was pretending. That afternoon, The View went live again. The air was heavy with anticipation. Even the audience, packed and buzzing, knew they were about to witness fallout. Whoopi opened the show with a tone both careful and direct. "Before we get into today's topics, we want to address something that happened yesterday. You all saw it. You all have opinions about it." The audience laughed softly, unsure. Whoopi continued. "Look, we're a show about conversation. Sometimes messy, sometimes uncomfortable, but always real. Yesterday it got realer than we expected." Joy sat silent beside her, fingers laced, expression grave. Whoopi turned to her. "Joy, you want to say something?" Joy nodded slightly, leaned toward the mic. Her voice was steady but low. "Yeah, I've been doing this show a long time, and I've said a lot of things that were funny to some, offensive to others. But yesterday, I crossed a line I shouldn't have." The audience listened, rapt. "I made Jennifer Aniston feel disrespected," Joy said. "And that wasn't my intention, but intention doesn't erase impact. So, Jennifer, if you're watching," she paused, exhaling. "I'm sorry." The audience erupted in applause. Whoopi smiled faintly. "Growth looks good on you, Joy." Joy managed a smirk. Don't make a habit of saying that. Laughter rippled through the crowd, but beneath it, there was sincerity, a rare, fragile quiet that only comes when pride steps aside. Later that evening, Jennifer was at home when her phone buzzed again. This time with a text, just 2 words from Joy Behar. "Thank you." Jennifer read it, stared at it for a while, then replied, "You're welcome. We all learn." No emojis, no PR gloss, just truth. Days passed, but the story didn't fade. It evolved. News outlets began calling it the View incident. Some writers labeled it a reckoning in daytime TV. Think pieces analyzed it from every angle. Celebrity power dynamics, women's voices, the price of honesty in entertainment. Clips from the moment became symbols of assertiveness. Social media was flooded with people, especially women, saying things like, "Jennifer Aniston didn't just defend herself. She defended all of us who've been told to stay quiet." Even comedians weighed in. Some mocked the drama, but most respected it. Because in a world built on masks, watching someone take hers off on live television was magnetic and the View. Their ratings never dropped, but the tone of the show shifted. Less mocking, more mindful. Joy Behar for once started listening more than she spoke. Whoopi later joked on air. "We all learned something that day. Mostly don't mess with Jennifer Aniston." The audience roared with laughter, but there was truth in the humor. By the end of that week, Jennifer walked into a studio in Los Angeles for a photo shoot. Cameras clicked, flashes went off, and the photographer asked, "Give me confidence. Give me power." Jennifer looked directly into the lens, her expression calm, grounded, unbothered. Click. The photographer lowered the camera, smiling. "That's perfect." And in that frozen frame, poised, fierce, unflinching, Jennifer Aniston didn't look like America's sweetheart anymore. She looked like something better. A woman who'd stopped apologizing for her strength. The internet would move on as it always does. New scandals, new headlines, new distractions. But for millions who watched that raw moment on The View, it stayed. That single exchange between a host who'd gone too far and a woman who'd finally had enough. Because sometimes one sentence on live TV can echo louder than a decade of polite silence. And Jennifer Aniston had just proven it. The camera fades to black. A final voice rises. What happens when grace meets disrespect? When patience meets provocation? Sometimes it's not anger. It's truth that breaks the silence. If you were Jennifer that day, what would you have done? Tell us your thoughts in the comments below. And if you want more powerful cinematic stories like this one, subscribe to Prime Narrator. Like, comment, and share because this is only the beginning of Hollywood's most explosive true moments.